All right. For today's episode of Doug Casey's Take, we decided to go ahead and publish a private conversation Doug and I had relating to the hot button issue of the day, the Israel-Palestine war that's happening right now. So it comes with some risk discussing issues like this, but we figured, what the hell? Let's see what happens. Of course, first, Doug shares the latest on Encyclopedia Britannica and along with a personal story about him and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Enjoy.
As far as looking at my Encyclopedia Britannica, today is the day that Thomas Edison was born, and I think he's very important. But typically, the Encyclopedia Britannica gives really short shrift to Thomas Edison, who's an important character in science and technology, and they talk about showbiz people that were born or whatever to them. I mean, who gives a damn, quite frankly? But let me add on that not today, but a couple of days ago is the first anniversary, I know this from the Encyclopedia Britannica again, that Susan Summers died. And you might ask, well, why do I care about Susan Summers? And the reason I care about her, and I don't, but insofar as I do care about her, is that when I was on the Merv Griffin show in 1981, whatever it was. So I was on the show with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dudley Moore. Okay, there were the three of us. Okay, and everybody gives their little rap, the way you have to do when you're on a panel on Merv Griffin's show, except Dudley Moore, who was famous at that time for that movie Arthur, was it?
Yeah. He had a series of those.
Yeah, that's what he was promoting. So he takes the opportunity to say, oh, and in the audience is my very good friend, their boyfriend, girlfriend, Susan Summers. So she's a tall blonde chick and he's a little short guy. And, you know, she takes the opportunity to come up and self-promote, and she starts yapping about one of her health and fitness books. And it apparently turns out that she later built it into a multi-$100 billion empire.
The Thigh Master. The Thigh Master.
The Thigh Master, exactly. So anyway, she gets up there and she sits to my immediate left, moves between me and Dudley. And so she starts rapping about this, blah, 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 blah. And Arnold, who'd really been talking before that, it was quite amazing. He reaches over me. I'm in between him and Susan, or Suzanne. And he says, puts his hand on her knee and he says, excuse me, Susan, but this is my time. That was really strong, I thought. And then he goes back to rapping about his book, some kind of book or whatever like that. So anyway, Susan Summers is dead. I guess the health business didn't treat her as well as one might have hoped. But I just thought I'd mention that because we talk about Encyclopedia's Britannica's death or birth of the day. And
that's hilarious.
So I just thought I'd add a little bit of personal flavor into that. Now we can talk about more important things. I know. This other Zoom call that I'm on with all these financial guys and a bunch of military guys, because as you'll recall, it's a bunch of West Point guys that are also financial guys that put this group together. So that's their orientation. There's a lot of spooks and military types that are also in the fund management business. And it's that nobody talks about this too much, but but they do. It's that all these young military-age males that have entered the country and apparently have cell phones that were given, and apparently have been given credit cards or debit cards that they're recharged. I don't know what the facts are. This is hearsay. What are they doing here? You know, and what are they doing now? And this is a time bomb. When you have a couple of million, healthy young males that have been organized within the country and are spread out like that, but are organized by, this is a great way to create absolutely fucking mass chaos in all kinds of ways.
What do the guys on the call, what do they think? So that's the problem. What do they think how does it end up? Do they suspect that it's intentional?
Nobody seems to want to talk about it because it would be too outlandish. And these are these are all guys that they're prestigious guys that do a lot of shit on television and all that type of thing. Some of these guys do. A number of them do actually. And I don't think anybody wants to actually say that this could really be super serious. But I
Yeah.
think they're in that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you when uh on Sunday, was it Sunday before I left? No, the week before. And the week before when all the Israeli stuff started.
Yeah.
Um on Sunday, I had a clear path in my head of how you get to the point where there isn't war powers could be on both. Like you could see a clear path because you could see what happened in Israel. You could see obviously all the things that have happened with the young people being infiltrated here. You could see the outrage that people are having and picking sides. You're either pro-Israel or you're pro-terrorist. That's what it was. And so there's clear division of people pushing people into sides with that. When I first thought of it, it actually scared me, to be honest, because I thought you're definitely, because it seemed obvious to me that whether it's organic or not, that those, okay, how do I explain it? So when Trump was elected, there was about a third or a quarter of the country that recognized that the unfettered immigration was a huge problem, which is why Trump was elected under this build the wall, right?
Right.
So, but the whole country was not aware of that yet. Most people still thought it was just he was a bigot and he was being stupid about it. But now everyone in the US knows, let's just say 75% of the population, the 25% are totally unaware of things, always what's going on. But 75% of the population now knows this is a problem. This is actually dangerous. But it's complete. So they understand it's a risk. And then all of a sudden it's crystallized when you see the Hamas thing in Israel. And you can imagine very easily that same exact thing happening here in order to create the pretext necessary to allow enactment of extraordinary powers of defense. You could certainly, the whole idea that I think I told you the guy who was on the ANCAP call, the friend of Chris's who you met with, who said something like war powers would be invoked and an enemy not be named. I'm not saying that his information on that is accurate. Who knows? But you could imagine that you could have a couple of high profile terrorist incidents in the US that are not isolated to one place, but seem to be in lots of different random places. You could see them then declaring an enemy within and outside of the country at the same time, but we can't exactly say who they are because we don't know who they all are. And that we have to do these incredible things to be able to get control of it. And you can see that actually happening because see, how do you get everyone's saying there's no way Americans are going to go to war. Americans won't fight this time. They're not going to be able to trick them. All the GWAT veterans, the Global War on Terror veterans are like completely against it. They're like, I have 7 lines in my family, 7 generations back, served in the military, whatever, but ends with me. There's no way my kids will go. But all you need is a right event again in the US, just like after 9/11, and they'll be chomping at the bit, frothing at the mouth, signing up and ready to go fight the evildoers wherever they are. I think there's a simple answer. Well, we weren't tight enough on our borders. We didn't have good enough regulation of the flow of people within the country. We have to get a handle on that now. So, and everyone is aware now that there's a problem with the control of the borders. There will be popular demand for it. And I think it's actually that is really scary to me because I could see how overnight, like the COVID stuff, it can completely change the paradigm.
Yep.
I think the start of it, what happened in Israel, and what falls from that naturally is all bad. And I would definitely World War III.
Yeah. And of course, the fact that the chairman of the Joint chiefs is, I don't know anything about this guy, but clearly he's a diversity hire. And he's got lots of bad ideas from what I've picked up so far. Well, in fact, all of his ideas so far that I've heard about are really bad ideas.
Yep. 100%. And top to bottom, the upper echelons of the military are corrupted. I mean, all of the best people were purged out, Obama, and what's left is a disaster.
Yeah. So I don't know how you get these people out. I mean, God, what a fucking dog's breakfast.
And people won't even want to get them out because they're going to be focused on other problems. You see these random terrorist acts in other countries now because people are so enraged by the response. Muslims are enraged by the response of Israel to what happened with Hamas. And you see it boiling over. And then overlaid on all of this, you have these extreme Jewish people who want to get started on building the third temple. Really do.
Yeah. They want to immanentize the eschaton.
Exactly.
And you know what's really interesting is that at all the universities, it seems like they're all pro-Palestinian whack jobs, but they're all Jews in the university and they hate, all of a sudden everybody hates Jews. This is kind of interesting.
Well, yeah.
And, I have a very old Jewish friend who's a very reasonable guy. He's an ANCAP libertarian. He sent me a couple articles that basically said, Jews are really worried about, once again, being hunted down and having to hide. And you know what? I said, I didn't believe that. I thought that the Jews on my Jew call were just particularly paranoid, but no, they're not. They really are paranoid about this stuff. Doesn't matter. They control everything in the U.S. They're still paranoid.
They are. I mean, there's a paranoid culture. How do you get the right, which became the anti-war party, to become pro-war again, where the left was the pro-war party in most recent years, not the right? Well, how do you get the right to be excited about war again? You get them because you take their enemy, the leftists, wokesters, and you get them coming out, proving, which they already don't like, coming out on the side of Hamas, or at least on the side of the Palestinians. And the right is going to naturally respond as an opposing force to that. And so we'll go along with the military action. And all these people that didn't believe the news at all the MAGA people who thought fake news, Tony Fauci, COVID, whatever, they just buy completely whatever they see on the news now about Israel must defend itself and probably needs to expand into Iran. And certainly Syria is a problem now again. We got to do something. So all of a sudden,
I don't understand why we have to do anything. I mean,
we don't.
Why does everybody? This is the amazing thing. Everybody says, well, we got to do something. Fuck that. We don't have to do anything. In fact, it would be counterproductive to do anything.
Anything.
They should put all those two carrier groups in reverse and get them the fuck out of there before something bad happens.
And the bad thing that could happen is if this escalates, they're going to take out one of those carriers, and you kill 5,000 sailors with one missile.
That's right. Then the game is on. And this is interesting that almost all the Jews in college kids are ultra liberals, but now they're being persecuted because they're not pro-Palestinian. So I don't know if you're a Jewish kid in college, what it's like today, but it must be kind of a little bit scary.
Yeah. It's funny that they seem to think that the woke was on their side. The woke is not on.
No.
They never were. They never were.
They never were. So the Jewish kids in college are figuring, Jesus, we're all by ourselves. I mean, nobody likes us. Everybody hates the Jews, it seems.
Yeah, well, the Jews were shitting on the evangelicals all this whole time, and the Christian conservatives, which they'll be pushed back together now in all of this. And you'll have the pro-war party will be the right.
Yeah, this is a classic dog's breakfast. It's hard to sort it out. Like, you're never going to sort out this thing with the Israelis and the Palestinians because they both think that land is theirs. And they're like two vicious dogs with a bone. Neither is going to give it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only difference is the biggest difference is that one of them has a lot of power and the other part lives in an open air prison or under martial law, depending upon what part of Palestine they live in.
Yeah, it's just going to be fascinating to watch this evolve.